Welcome to this tutorial on Kubernetes Horizontal Pod Autoscaler. In this video, you'll learn how to automatically scale your application pods based on CPU and memory metrics. HPA is a powerful feature that helps maintain optimal performance while efficiently managing cluster resources. The Horizontal Pod Autoscaler is a Kubernetes controller that automatically adjusts the number of pod replicas in a deployment based on observed metrics. It dynamically scales your workloads up or down, responding to real-time resource utilization. This means when your application experiences high demand, HPA adds more pods to handle the load, and when demand decreases, it removes unnecessary pods to conserve resources. HPA operates in 3 simple steps. First, it continuously monitors metrics through the metrics server, which collects resource usage data from your pods. Second, it calculates the desired replica count by comparing current metrics against your configured targets. Finally, it automatically adjusts the number of pod replicas in your deployment to match the calculated desired state. This entire process runs as a control loop, typically checking every 15 seconds. Before using HPA, you need 3 essential components. First, a running Kubernetes cluster where your applications will be deployed. Second, the metrics server must be installed and configured in your cluster to provide resource usage data. Third, your deployment must have resource requests defined in the pod specification, as HPA uses these requests to calculate utilization percentages. Let's look at a sample deployment. We start with the standard Kubernetes deployment structure using API version apps/v1. The deployment is named php-apache and initially configured with 1 replica. The selector uses match labels to identify pods with the app label set to php-apache. The template section defines the pod metadata with matching labels. In the container specification, we define a container named php-apache using the image from registry.k8s.io/hpa-example. The container exposes port 80. Importantly, we define resource requests and limits. The CPU request is set to 200 millicores, meaning this pod requires at least 200 millicores of CPU. The CPU limit is set to 500 millicores, which is the maximum CPU this pod can consume. The simplest way to create an HPA is using the kubectl command line tool. Use the kubectl autoscale deployment command followed by your deployment name, in this case php-apache. The CPU-% flag sets the target CPU utilization to 50%. The min flag sets the minimum number of replicas to 1, and the max flag sets the maximum to 10. This single command creates an HPA that maintains average CPU utilization at 50% by scaling between 1 and 10 pods. You can also define HPA using a YAML manifest. The API version is Autoscaling/v2, and the kind is Horizontal Pod Autoscaler. In the metadata, we name it php-apache. The spec section contains the scale target reference, which points to the deployment we want to autoscale. We specify the API version apps/v1, kind deployment, and name php-apache. The min replicas is set to 1 and max replicas to 10. The metrics section defines what HPA monitors for scaling decisions. We can configure multiple metrics. For CPU, we set the type to resource and specify the resource name as CPU. The target type is utilization with an average utilization of 50%. Similarly, for memory, we set the type to resource, name to memory, and target average utilization to 70%. HPA will scale based on whichever metric requires more replicas. After creating an HPA, you can monitor its status using several kubectl commands. Use kubectl get HPA to view a quick status summary showing current and target metrics. For detailed information about the HPA's scaling decisions and events, use kubectl describe HPA followed by the HPA name. To watch the HPA status in real time and see scaling actions as they occur, use kubectl get HPA with the --watch flag.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.